Peter Achinstein. Peter Achinstein, born June 30, 1935, is an American philosopher of science at Johns Hopkins University. Biography. Achinstein is the son of Betty née Commerce and economist Asher Achinstein. He received his Bachelor of Arts and Ph.D. from Harvard with a dissertation on Carnap's theory of probability. It was a German philosopher called G. Hempel, in a visit to Harvard in 1953 for replacing W.V. Quine, who was on leave, who motivated him to pursue philosophy of science. Upon getting a Harvard travelling fellowship, Achinstein spent a year in Oxford in 1959 working under the guidance of P. Fahrenheit Strawson. In Oxford he attended seminars and lectures delivered by Gilbert Ryle at J. Ayer and J. L. Austin. Achinstein specialises in philosophy of science with strong interests in the history of science. Achinstein has taught for many years at Johns Hopkins University, where he is currently Professor of Philosophy. In spring 2009, Achinstein began teaching at Yeshiva University as the J. and Jeannie Schottenstein University Professor of Philosophy and is the founder and director of the Center for History and Philosophy of Science of Yeshiva University, New York. He returned to Johns Hopkins in spring 2011. He has held Guggenheim, Ney, and NSF fellowships and has served as a visiting professor at MIT, Stanford, and the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He is the author of 7 influential books in the history and philosophy of science. Among them are Particles and Waves, which shared the prestigious Lakatos Award in 1993. This book is a study of methodological problems arising from 3 episodes in 19th century physics: the wave-particle debate about light, the development of the kinetic molecular theory, and the discovery of the electron. In 2001, Achinstein published the Book of Evidence, a philosophical and historical study of various concepts of evidence employed in the sciences. A volume of his important collected essays over the years, Evidence, Explanation, and Realism, was published in the spring of 2010. A special volume honouring him, Philosophy of Science Matters, The Philosophy of Peter Achinstein, was published in 2011. In 2013, Achinstein published Evidence and Method, Scientific Strategies of Isaac Newton and James Clerk Maxwell. The book Speculation, Within and About Science appeared in 2018. 3 of his published papers have been selected for Philosopher's Annual, the best 10 philosophy papers published that year. He has 3 children, Jonathan, Sharon, and Betty. His daughter, Sharon Achinstein, is the Sir William Osler Professor of English at the Johns Hopkins University. Former students. Many of Professor Achinstein's students have gone on in careers as philosophers. Among his best-known students are Alexander Rosenberg, with whom he shared the Lakatos Award, and Helen Langiner. Books, monographs, and collected papers. Concepts of Science, A Philosophical Analysis 1968, Law and Explanation, an essay in the Philosophy of Science 1971, The Nature of Explanation 1983, The Concept of Evidence 1983, Particles and Waves, Historical Essays in the Philosophy of Science 1991, The Book of Evidence 2003, Evidence, Explanation, and Realism, Essays in Philosophy of Science by Peter Achinstein 2010, Evidence and Method, Scientific Strategies of Isaac Newton and James Clerk Maxwell 2013. Edited volumes. The Legacy of Logical Positivism in the Philosophy of Science, co-editor with Stephen Fahrenheit, Borchert, 1969, Studies in the Philosophy of Science, Essays by Peter Achinstein, 1969, Explanations, Papers and Discussions Achinstein, et al., edited by Stephen Kerner, 1975, Observation, Experiment and Hypothesis in Modern Physical Science, co-editor with Owen Hanaway, 1985, Calvin's Baltimore Lectures in Modern Theoretical Physics, Historical and Philosophical Perspectives, co-editor with Robert Coggin, 1987, Scientific Methods, Conceptual and Historical Problems, co-editor with Laura J. Snyder, 1994, Science Rules, A Historical Introduction to Scientific Methods, editor, 2004, Scientific Evidence, Philosophical Theories and Applications, editor, 2005. Selected articles. Is there a valid experimental argument for scientific realism? Journal of Philosophy 2002. What to do if you want to defend a theory you can't prove. Journal of Philosophy 2010.